Welcome back to Tiny Ninja, The Hidden Lineage. This is Season 3, Episode 7. The battle for the Tide Sanctuary continues. Abyssal Prime has fallen, but his defeat awakened something far more dangerous. Leviathan. The ancient sovereign of the Abyss now knows the names of those who stood against its commander, and it has come for them. The heroes remained gathered within the Tide Sanctuary. For several moments nobody spoke. The ocean outside had returned to an unnatural calm. Too calm. Tiny Ninja stood with his Ember blade lowered, staring toward the massive entrance where the darkness of the ocean stretched beyond the sanctuary. Akari stepped beside him. "Do you think it's gone?" Tiny Ninja shook his head. "No." Kairo looked toward the water. "It hasn't left." Ashara tightened her grip on her weapon. "Then why isn't it attacking?" The keeper answered quietly. "Because it doesn't need to." Everyone turned toward her. She continued. "Leviathan is not Abyssal Prime. It doesn't need to prove its strength by rushing into battle." Tiny Ninja looked at her. "Then what is it doing?" "It's watching." The word hung in the air. Akari looked toward the enormous entrance. "Watching us?" The keeper nodded. "Learning you." Tiny Ninja looked down at his Ember. "Then let it learn." The keeper turned toward him. "You don't understand what you're facing." Tiny Ninja looked back at her. "Then tell me." The keeper hesitated. Kairo noticed. "You've known about Leviathan for a long time." "Yes." "How long?" The keeper looked toward the tide crystal at the center of the sanctuary. "Longer than any living person should have." Ashara stepped forward. "What exactly is Leviathan?" The keeper took a breath. "Leviathan was created during the earliest days of the Dominion." Kairo's expression hardened. "Created?" "Yes." "It isn't a natural creature?" "No." The keeper looked toward the ocean. "It was built from the remains of ancient Nephilim technology, Dominion machinery, and something much older." Tiny Ninja's eyes narrowed. "What?" The keeper looked directly at him. "The Abyss itself." Akari frowned. "That doesn't make any sense." "It isn't supposed to." The keeper walked toward the tide crystal. Leviathan was designed to become the ultimate weapon of the Dominion. But it became something more than a weapon. Tiny Ninja followed. "What happened?" "It developed a will." Kairo spoke quietly. "And the Dominion couldn't control it." The keeper nodded. "They didn't control Leviathan." She looked toward the ocean. "They gave it a throne." Tiny Ninja understood. "That's why they call it sovereign." "Yes." Ashara looked disturbed. "And Abyssal Prime served it?" "He wasn't merely a commander." The keeper's voice became heavier. "He was its mind." Tiny Ninja looked toward the place where Abyssal Prime had fallen. "And now he's dead." "Yes." "So Leviathan has lost its mind?" The keeper shook her head. "No." She looked at Tiny Ninja. "Now it has nothing standing between itself and us." Akari stepped closer to Tiny Ninja. "Then we need to leave." The keeper shook her head again. "We can't." Kairo frowned. "Why?" "Because the Tide Sanctuary is connected to Leviathan." Tiny Ninja looked at the tide crystal. "The sanctuary is keeping it contained?" "Partially." "And if we leave?" The keeper didn't answer immediately. Ashara understood. "It follows us." The keeper nodded. "And if it follows us, it won't stop at the sanctuary." Kairo looked toward the surface. "There are people living beyond this place." "Yes." Tiny Ninja looked at Akari. then Kairo, then Ashara. We stay. Akari nodded. I was hoping you'd say that. Kairo looked at the two younger warriors. This isn't going to be like fighting Abyssal Prime. Tiny Ninja smiled faintly. I know. No. Kairo's voice was serious. You don't. Tiny Ninja looked at him. Kairo continued. Abyssal Prime could be fought. He had armor, weapons, weaknesses, a body we could reach. He looked toward the ocean. Leviathan is the ocean. Ashara lowered her weapon slightly. What does that mean? The keeper answered. It means you cannot simply walk up to Leviathan and defeat it. Tiny Ninja looked at his Ember. Then we'll find another way. The keeper studied him. You still don't understand. Tiny Ninja looked up. Then help me understand. The keeper's expression softened. Leviathan has been waiting beneath these waters for centuries. She looked toward the tide crystal. It has waited for the Dominion to call it. Tiny Ninja asked, and now? The keeper looked toward the darkness. Now it has been called. The entire sanctuary trembled. Akari immediately reached for her weapon. Kairo stood. Ashara turned toward the entrance. Tiny Ninja raised his blade. The keeper closed her eyes. A deep pressure moved through the water. Not a sound, not a voice, a presence. The tide crystal began glowing. Tiny Ninja felt the Ember respond. The two powers pulled against one another. He clenched his fist. It's here. The keeper opened her eyes. Yes. A shadow appeared beyond the sanctuary. At first, it seemed like a mountain beneath the ocean. Then it moved. Massive tentacles emerged from the darkness. The water itself seemed to bend around them. Akari stared. That thing is enormous. Kairo answered. We knew that. No, Akari said. Her voice was quieter. We didn't. The shadow rose higher and higher until the heroes could see two enormous blue lights through the darkness. Eyes. Leviathan had awakened. Tiny Ninja stepped forward. The keeper grabbed his arm. Don't. Tiny Ninja looked at her. Why? Because it wants you to come closer. Tiny Ninja stared into Leviathan's glowing eyes. The creature's presence entered his mind. Ember bearer. Tiny Ninja froze. Akari looked at him. Tiny Ninja? He didn't answer. The voice returned. You carry what was taken from the ancient world. Tiny Ninja tightened his grip on the Ember. Who are you? The answer came from somewhere deeper than sound. I am the deep. The water around the sanctuary began to move. I am the tide. The keeper stepped forward. No. Leviathan's enormous eyes shifted toward her. And you are the keeper who has guarded what belongs to me. The keeper raised her staff. The sanctuary does not belong to you. Leviathan's response was immediate. Everything beneath these waters belongs to the abyss. Tiny Ninja stepped beside the keeper. No. The keeper looked at him. Tiny Ninja raised his Ember blade. Not anymore. Akari stepped beside him. Kairo joined them. Ashara followed. The keeper looked at the four warriors standing together. For the first time, fear appeared in her eyes. Not fear for herself. fear for them. Leviathan's enormous form continued rising beyond the sanctuary. The water began to surge. Tiny Ninja looked at his companions. "We fought the Dominion before." Kairo nodded. "We fought worse than Dominion soldiers." Ashara raised her weapon. "But never this." Akari looked at Tiny Ninja. "Whatever happens," he looked at her, "we face it together." Tiny Ninja nodded. "Together." The keeper lifted her staff. The tide answered. A massive barrier formed around the sanctuary. Leviathan moved. The ocean itself became a weapon. And the first strike of the battle against the Sovereign of the Abyss began. The first wave struck the barrier.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Focus tight, blade in hand, stand alone, I make my stand. Mind stay sharp, heart stay cold, Tiny Ninja never fold. Blade mode, locked in tight, one clean move in the fight. No delay, no reload, Tiny Ninja blade mode.
The entire tide sanctuary shook. The keeper planted her staff against the stone floor and held the barrier together. Tiny Ninja stood beside her. Akari, Kairo, and Ashara remained behind them, watching the ocean. Another wave came, then another. Each one was larger than the last. The keeper gritted her teeth. "It is testing the barrier." Tiny Ninja looked at her. "How long can you hold it?" "Not forever." "How long?" The keeper looked toward the water. "Long enough for you to find a way to stop it." Tiny Ninja looked at the enormous shadow beyond the barrier. "That thing is bigger than anything we've ever fought." Kairo answered quietly. "Then we stopped thinking like we fought it before." Ashara looked toward the sanctuary. "There has to be something here." The keeper nodded. The tide sanctuary was built for this. Akari looked at her. "For Leviathan?" "No." The keeper looked toward the ancient walls. "For the possibility that something like Leviathan would one day return." Tiny Ninja turned toward her. "What does the sanctuary have?" "Defenses." Kairo's eyes narrowed. "Then activate them." The keeper shook her head. "I don't know if they still work." Ashara looked at the ancient symbols carved into the walls. "Then we find out." The four warriors moved deeper into the sanctuary. The keeper remained behind, maintaining the barrier. Tiny Ninja glanced back at her. "Don't try to fight Leviathan alone." The keeper gave him a faint smile. "I wasn't planning to." They disappeared into the inner chambers. The deeper they traveled, the older the sanctuary became. The polished stone gave way to enormous walls covered in ancient carvings. Akari ran her fingers across one. "These aren't Dominion symbols." Kairo looked closely. "No." Tiny Ninja stopped. "What are they?" The keeper's voice echoed from behind them. "They were carved by the first keepers." Everyone turned. She had followed them. Tiny Ninja frowned. "I thought you were holding the barrier." "I am." Akari looked confused. "How?" The keeper raised her staff. A small stream of blue light extended from it toward the outer chamber. The tide moves through the sanctuary. Tiny Ninja looked at the walls. So the whole place is connected. Yes. Ashara studied the carvings. These look like battles. The keeper nodded. They are records. Of what? The first war. Kairo stepped closer. Against the Dominion? The keeper shook her head. Against the things the Dominion created. Tiny Ninja stared at the carvings. There were enormous creatures, ships, warriors, and beneath them all, a massive shape covered in tentacles. Akari looked at it. That's Leviathan. The keeper nodded. But this carving is different. Tiny Ninja noticed it. The creature wasn't attacking. It was surrounded by people. What's happening here? The keeper hesitated. They were trying to communicate with it. Kairo looked at her. And did they succeed? No. What happened? The keeper looked toward the ancient carving. They discovered that Leviathan wasn't interested in communication. Ashara asked, what did it want? The keeper answered, Dominion. Tiny Ninja looked at the carving again. Then why wasn't it destroyed? The keeper's expression became grim. Because they couldn't. Tiny Ninja turned toward the keeper. So, how did they stop it? They didn't. Akari's eyes widened. And how did it end up sleeping beneath the tide sanctuary? The keeper looked at the floor. They imprisoned it. Kairo immediately understood. The sanctuary is a prison. Or it was. Tiny Ninja looked toward the tide crystal. And now? The keeper's face tightened. Now the prison is failing. A tremendous impact shook the sanctuary. Dust fell from the ceiling. Akari grabbed her sword. That sounded close. The keeper looked toward the entrance. It was. Tiny Ninja turned toward the ancient walls. We need those defenses. The keeper nodded. There is one. Kairo asked, what is it? The keeper walked toward a massive circular door, the tide gate. Ashara looked at the door. What does it do? It was designed to redirect the ocean itself. Tiny Ninja looked at her. Could it hurt Leviathan? The keeper shook her head. No. Then what's the point? It can't separate Leviathan from the sanctuary. Kairo understood. We trap it outside. Yes. Tiny Ninja looked toward the massive door. And then, the keeper looked at him. Then we find a way to kill it. Akari looked at Tiny Ninja. You heard her. Tiny Ninja nodded. Let's open the gate. The keeper placed her hand against the door. Nothing happened. She tried again. Still nothing. Kairo stepped forward. It's dead. No. The keeper looked at the ancient mechanism. It needs the tide. Tiny Ninja looked at his Ember. You think the Ember can activate it? I don't know. Tiny Ninja placed his hand against the door. The Ember pulsed. Blue light spread across the ancient carvings. The door began to move, slowly. The sound of ancient stone grinding against stone filled the chamber. Akari stepped backward. That's good, right? Kairo looked toward the door. I hope so. The tide gate opened. Water began rushing through the passage. The entire sanctuary came alive. Ancient channels opened beneath the floor. Blue light traveled through them. The walls began glowing. The keeper stared. It recognizes the Ember. Tiny Ninja looked at her. Why? She didn't answer. Before he could ask again, a tremendous roar shook the sanctuary. Leviathan had noticed. The ocean outside suddenly turned black. Then the wall of water broke. A massive tentacle slammed into the sanctuary. The barrier cracked. The keeper stumbled. Tiny Ninja caught her. Are you all right? Yes. Another strike. The barrier cracked further. Kairo shouted, "The gate!" Tiny Ninja looked toward the opening. "Everyone move!" They ran. The tide gate began pulling the surrounding water into a massive current. Leviathan resisted. Its enormous tentacles wrapped around the sanctuary. The entire structure began to groan. Akari looked back. "It's holding on!" Ashara raised her weapon. "Then we make it let go." She charged toward one of the tentacles. Kairo followed. Akari joined them. Tiny Ninja looked at the keeper. "Can you control the current?" "Yes." "Then push." The keeper raised her staff. The tide answered. The current became stronger. The three warriors attacked the tentacle. Kairo struck first. Ashara followed. Akari drove her blade into the creature's armored hide. Leviathan pulled back. The current dragged it away from the sanctuary. Tiny Ninja raised his Ember blade. "Now!" The Ember exploded with light. The tide surged. The combined force struck Leviathan. For the first time, the Sovereign of the Abyss moved backward. The heroes watched in stunned silence. Akari smiled. "We heard it." Kairo shook his head. "No." He looked toward the enormous creature. "We moved it." Tiny Ninja stared at Leviathan. The creature slowly turned its massive head toward him. His blue eyes burned brighter. Then its voice entered their minds again. "You carry the Ember." Tiny Ninja raised his sword. "Yes." "Then you will fall with the sanctuary." Tiny Ninja looked at Akari. She nodded. Kairo and Ashara stood ready. The keeper raised her staff. Tiny Ninja turned toward Leviathan. "Come and find out." Leviathan surged forward. The ocean erupted, and the heroes charged forward. Tiny Ninja ran across the ancient stone platform, the ember blazing along his blade. Akari moved beside him. Kairo and Ashara followed. Behind them, the keeper raised both hands. The tide answered. A current formed beneath the heroes' feet, carrying them forward faster than they could run. Tiny Ninja looked toward the enormous creature. "Keep the current moving!" The keeper shouted back, "I will!" Leviathan's tentacles descended. Tiny Ninja jumped. The first tentacle crashed beneath him. He landed on his armored surface. Akari followed. She drove her blade into the armor. The creature recoiled. Tiny Ninja struck beside her. The ember burned through the blue-black plating. Leviathan roared. The sound shook the sanctuary. Kairo and Ashara attacked another tentacle. Their weapons bounced against its armor. Ashara looked at Kairo. "This thing is tougher than Abyssal Prime." Kairo nodded. "And stop trying to cut through it." Ashara understood. "Find the joints." They attacked again. This time, Kairo struck between two sections of armor. The tentacle recoiled. Ashara immediately drove her weapon into the exposed section. The creature pulled away. Kairo smiled. "That's better." Across the battlefield, Tiny Ninja and Akari were still moving. Leviathan attempted to crush them beneath another tentacle. Tiny Ninja grabbed Akari. "Jump!" They leaped together. The tentacle passed beneath them. Akari landed first. Tiny Ninja landed beside her. She looked at him. You know, for someone who keeps getting us into trouble, you're getting pretty good at getting us out of it. Tiny Ninja smiled beneath his mask. I've had good teachers. Akari smiled. Then Leviathan attacked again. Tiny Ninja's expression became serious. Move! They separated. A massive blast of water struck the platform. Stone shattered. Akari was thrown backward. Tiny Ninja caught her before she fell into the current. You okay? She nodded. I'm fine. Then she looked at the water below. We can't keep fighting like this. Tiny Ninja looked toward Leviathan. No. He looked at the sanctuary. We need to bring it closer. Akari stared at him. Closer? To the tide gate. Kairo overheard. That could work. Ashara looked toward him. How? Kairo pointed toward the ancient channels beneath the sanctuary. The gate is controlling the current. Tiny Ninja understood. If we can draw Leviathan into the channel, the sanctuary can trap part of its body. The keeper looked toward them. Not its entire body. Tiny Ninja turned. What? The keeper shook her head. The tide gate was never designed to imprison something this large. Kairo looked at the keeper. Then what was it designed for? To slow it. Tiny Ninja looked toward Leviathan. That may be enough. The keeper's expression became concerned. Tiny Ninja. He looked at her. What? If you draw Leviathan into the channel, you will be close enough for it to reach you. Tiny Ninja nodded. I know. You could die. He looked toward Akari, then toward Kairo and Ashara. I know that too. Akari stepped beside him. Then you're not doing it alone. Tiny Ninja looked at her. I wasn't planning to. Kairo raised his weapon. Neither are we. Ashara nodded. We finished this together. The keeper looked at the four warriors. Then she looked toward Leviathan. Something in her expression changed. She knew that they were attempting, and she knew what it would cost. Then listen carefully. Everyone turned toward her. I can redirect the tide through the eastern channel. Kairo asked. In the western? I will open it manually. Ashara frowned. Manually? The keeper nodded. It is an ancient mechanism. The control has been damaged. Tiny Ninja looked at her. Can you fix it? No. Then how do you open it? The keeper looked at him. I have to stay at the mechanism. Tiny Ninja immediately understood. You won't be able to leave. No. Akari stepped forward. Then someone else can do it. The keeper shook her head. It requires the keeper's mark. Tiny Ninja looked at her. You're staying behind? Yes. Kairo looked concerned. For how long? The keeper didn't answer. Instead, she raised her staff. Blue light spread across the floor. The ancient channels began glowing. Go! Tiny Ninja looked at her. Keeper, go! Her voice was firm. If you want to protect the sanctuary, you must trust me. Tiny Ninja hesitated, then nodded. All right. The heroes moved. Tiny Ninja and Akari headed toward the eastern channel. Kairo and Ashara moved toward the western passage. The keeper remained behind. She placed her hand against the ancient mechanism. The tide began moving. Leviathan sensed the change. Its enormous head turned. The creature's eyes focused on the sanctuary. You seek to bind me. Tiny Ninja looked up. Yes.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Still mine, steady frame, pressure high, I don't change. Every move, precise design. Tiny Ninja, focus mind, steady hand. I was trained for this demand. No mistake, no rewind. Tiny Ninja, focus mind.
Tiny Ninja raised his blade. Maybe not. He stepped into the channel. But we can slow it down. Leviathan attacked. Tiny Ninja ran. Akari followed. The first tentacle struck. Tiny Ninja jumped, and Akari rolled beneath it. They continued forward. Another tentacle descended. Akari struck it. Tiny Ninja struck the exposed joint. The creature recoiled. "Keep moving!" Kairo shouted. They ran deeper into the channel. The current became stronger. Leviathan followed. Its enormous body began entering the tide gate. The ancient structure groaned under the pressure. The keeper's hands trembled against the mechanism. "Come on!" The gate began closing. Tiny Ninja looked back. The enormous creature was caught halfway inside. "It's working!" Akari looked toward the keeper. "She did it!" The keeper looked at them from across the chamber. Then she smiled. "Not yet." Leviathan suddenly pulled backward. The entire sanctuary shook. The gate began opening again. Kairo shouted, "It's overpowering the mechanism!" Ashara looked toward the keeper. "Can she hold it?" Kairo didn't answer. The keeper's staff began cracking with blue light. She pushed harder. The gate stopped. For one moment, the ancient mechanism held. Then Leviathan's tentacle wrapped around the sanctuary. Stone began breaking apart. The keeper cried out. Tiny Ninja started toward her. Akari grabbed his arm. "No!" He looked at her. "She needs help. And if you leave, Leviathan breaks free." Tiny Ninja looked between Akari and the keeper. The keeper shuddered across the chamber. "Tiny Ninja!" He froze. "Finish what you started!" Tiny Ninja clenched his fist, then turned toward Leviathan. Akari stood beside him. Kairo and Ashara joined them. The four warriors prepared themselves. Leviathan pulled again. The gate began to crack. The keeper's staff shattered. The ancient mechanism screamed beneath the pressure, and the tide sanctuary began to collapse around them. Tiny Ninja raised the Ember. "Then we end this." Akari raised her blade. "Together." Kairo nodded. Ashara stepped forward. The four warriors charged. Behind them, the keeper remained at the gate, holding the tide, holding the sanctuary, holding back the abyss. And somewhere beneath the ancient stone, something inside the sanctuary awakened. The final defense of the sanctuary was beginning. The four warriors charged. Behind them, the keeper remained at the tide gate, holding back the immense force of Leviathan. Tiny Ninja reached the center of the channel first. The ember burned intensely in his hand. Akari came beside him. Kairo and Ashara moved into position behind them. Leviathan's massive body filled the chamber. Its tentacles struck from every direction. Tiny Ninja blocked one. Akari cut another aside. Kairo drove his blade into a joint. Ashara struck the exposed armor. Leviathan recoiled. Tiny Ninja looked toward the ancient channels beneath them. The current is pulling it toward the center. Kairo understood. Then we need to keep it there. Ashara looked at the enormous creature. And how exactly do you suggest we do that? Tiny Ninja raised his ember blade by giving it something else to fight. Akari looked at him. Us? Tiny Ninja nodded. Us. Leviathan's eyes brightened. Its voice entered their minds. You are insane. Tiny Ninja stepped forward. Maybe. He raised his blade. But we're still here. Leviathan attacked. The first tentacle came down. Tiny Ninja rolled beneath it. Akari struck from the side. Kairo attacked from behind. Ashara followed. They weren't trying to destroy Leviathan. They were controlling its movement. Every attack pushed it farther into the tide gate. The current strengthened. The ancient mechanism groaned. The keeper held her position. Tiny Ninja looked toward her. How long? The keeper answered through clenched teeth. As long as I can. Tiny Ninja turned back. Let me make it count. Leviathan suddenly opened its enormous maw. A surge of dark water erupted toward them. Akari was thrown backward. Ashara fell. Kairo was forced against the wall. Tiny Ninja raised the Ember. The fire expanded around him. The water struck. For a moment, Tiny Ninja disappeared beneath it. Akari shouted, Tiny Ninja! The water receded. Tiny Ninja was still standing. His clothes were soaked. His blade remained burning. Akari smiled. You really are impossible. Tiny Ninja looked toward her. You were worried? Maybe. Good. She shook her head. Focus! They charged again. Tiny Ninja drove the Ember into the creature's armor. This time, the blade penetrated. Leviathan recoiled. A deep blue light erupted from the wound. The entire sanctuary shook. Kairo stared. We actually heard it. The keeper looked toward them. Again! Tiny Ninja pulled the Ember free. Akari struck the same location. Kairo followed. Ashara joined them. The wound expanded. Leviathan roared. The sound reverberated through the sanctuary. For the first time, the sovereign of the abyss appeared to be in pain. Its enormous body pulled backward. The tide gate began closing. The keeper pushed the mechanism. Now! The ancient gate slammed shut. Leviathan was forced backward into the ocean. The water crashed against the sanctuary. Then silence. The heroes stood motionless. Tiny Ninja lowered his sword. Akari looked toward the sealed gate. Did we do it? Kairo watched the water carefully. We stopped it. Ashara corrected him. For now. The keeper slowly stepped away from the mechanism. Her breathing was heavy. Tiny Ninja approached her. Are you all right? She nodded. I will be. He looked at the shattered remains of her staff. You nearly destroyed yourself holding that gate. The keeper looked toward the ocean. It was necessary. Kairo joined them. We wounded Leviathan. The keeper nodded. Yes. Ashara looked at the sealed entrance. Can it get through? Tiny Ninja waited. Finally she answered, eventually. Akari frowned. Eventually? The tide gate was never meant to hold Leviathan forever. Tiny Ninja looked toward the ancient mechanism. How long? The keeper looked at him. I don't know. Kairo's expression hardened. Then we can't wait for it to break through. No. The keeper looked toward the four warriors. We need to go deeper into the sanctuary. Tiny Ninja frowned. Why? Because now that Leviathan has been wounded, it will change its strategy. Ashara asked, how? The keeper looked toward the dark ocean. It will stop trying to break the gate. Tiny Ninja understood. You will find another way in. The keeper nodded. And when it does, it won't come alone. Akari looked toward the water. What else is down there? The keeper's expression became grave. Everything that answers to Leviathan. The heroes fell silent. Ninja looked toward the tide crystal. We need to prepare. Kairo nodded. And we need to learn how to actually kill it. The keeper looked at him. That may not be possible. Tiny Ninja turned. It has a weakness. Everything has a weakness. Then we'll find it. The keeper studied him. You sound very certain. Tiny Ninja looked at Akari, then Kairo, then Ashara. I have them. Akari smiled. So do we. Kairo nodded. Ashara raised her weapon. The keeper looked at them. For a moment, she smiled. Then the tide crystal suddenly flickered. Everyone turned. The blue light within it dimmed. Once, twice, then it went dark. The keeper's expression changed immediately. No. Tiny Ninja stepped toward her. What happened? She stared at the crystal. The tide has gone silent. Kairo looked toward the sealed gate. That is impossible. The keeper shook her head. No. She looked toward the floor. It means Leviathan is no longer attacking the sanctuary. Ashara understood. Then what is it doing? The keeper answered quietly. It's searching. Tiny Ninja tightened his grip on the ember. For another entrance. The keeper nodded. And if it finds one, Tiny Ninja finished the thought. It gets inside. A deep tremor moved through the sanctuary. Then another. Dust fell from the ceiling. The heroes looked at one another. The battle wasn't over. It had only changed. Tiny Ninja raised his blade. Then we find it first. Akari stepped beside him. Together. Kairo and Ashara followed. The keeper picked up the broken remains of her staff. She looked toward the deeper chambers. There is something you need to see. Tiny Ninja looked at her. What? The original chamber. Kairo frowned. The chamber where the first keepers imprisoned Leviathan? The keeper nodded. If we are going to defeat the Sovereign, she looked toward the darkness ahead. We need to understand how it was imprisoned in the first place. Tiny Ninja nodded. Lead the way. The five of them disappeared deeper into the tide sanctuary. Behind them, the sealed gate remained silent. But far beyond it, beneath miles of dark ocean, two enormous blue eyes opened. Leviathan was wounded. Leviathan was angry. And now, it was thinking. The heroes had survived their first encounter with the Sovereign of the Abyss, but they had not defeated it, not even close. The next battle would take them deeper than any sanctuary they had ever entered, and before the end, someone would have to pay the ultimate price. Thank you for listening to Tiny Ninja, The Hidden Lineage. The battle against Leviathan has begun. Abyssal Prime is gone, but the Sovereign of the Abyss has survived its first confrontation with our heroes. Tiny Ninja, Akari, Kairo, Ashara, and the Keeper must now enter the oldest chamber of the Tide Sanctuary and uncover the secret behind Leviathan's imprisonment. If you're enjoying the show, please consider supporting the podcast through the link in the channel description. This is a completely free podcast, and donations are never required. If you choose to donate, however, your support is deeply appreciated and helps keep the show going and allows me to continue improving the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to YouTube at Tiny Ninja The Hidden Lineage for shorts featuring characters and moments from the show. Thank you for listening. Until next time, walk in harmony, protect with compassion, stand with courage, Lead with humility. Where hope endures, the hidden lineage lives.